Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Phoenix back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to explain everything that you need to know about this FNCS. There are a lot of parts in this video, so there are timestamps in the description. I hope this video helps you feel better prepared to watch FNCS and fully understand what is happening. So with that being said, let's get right into it. The first question that many people have is, how did these teams get into the FNCS finals? Let's look at how these teams qualified. The first way to qualify for the FNCS finals was to place top 3 in the Season 5 FNCS Grand Finals. These teams didn't have to play any of the qualifying rounds and immediately qualified straight to Grand Finals. The second way that a team could qualify to Grand Finals is by placing top 3 in any of the 3 qualifying weeks. This would automatically place you into the Grand Finals. This gives us 12 of our 33 teams, but there are still 21 teams left. This takes us to our third and final way of qualifying through semifinals. Each qualifying week, each team that doesn't get top 3 is given consistency points. These teams with consistency points are put into a leaderboard, and the top 99 most consistent trios are put into 3 heats. From here, the top 6 trios from each heat are qualified to the Grand Finals. This still gives us 3 spots left. This brings us to the reboot round, which is one of the most intense matches in Fortnite. The teams that place 7th through 17th in their heat are all put into one lobby, and there's only one condition. Whoever wins the game makes it to Grand Finals. This results in some of the most hectic endgames and some of the most emotional moments you'll ever see in Fortnite.
Let's go! Let's go! No way! 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 We won! No way! No way! We won! No way! No way! We won! No way! Oh my god! Oh my god! No way! Oh my god! There's no fucking way! There's no fucking way! No way! No fucking way! Oh my god! I'm actually gonna cry, you don't understand.
The prize pools in Season 6 FNCS are the exact same to Season 5's. Every player in finals makes money, and the winners on EU will make $100,000 each. And on NA, the top trio will make $50,000 each. Next, let's look at the format. The FNCS finals format is pretty kill heavy compared to the opens, with a ratio of 15 kills equals to a win in comparison to 25 kills to equal a win in opens. This means that teams that are able to get a lot of kills are going to be a lot more successful. This format also rewards top 3s extremely heavily, so extremely consistent teams will do very well. One thing to note is this format isn't set in stone, and it might change. Next, let's look at the beginning of the game, the off-spawn. Off-spawn or early game is one of the most important parts of the game. The goal here is to be as efficient as possible so that your trio can early rotate to strong positions. The other relevant thing that happens in off-spawn is contention. Generally, when a team in a custom lobby is contested, they do significantly worse. This is because the fight will sometimes leave them stuck in zone or eat well into their shield economy. Some POIs to look out for being contested include dirty, craggy, slurpy, steamy, and sweaty. Storm Surge is one of the most influential parts of any competitive Fortnite game and can make or break a team. Storm Surge is a damage threshold that shows up on the 2nd, 4th, and 6th zones when they start to close. Storm Surge is the average damage of all the players in a match, and if you're below Storm Surge, you'll be hit for 25 damage every 4 seconds if you don't do enough damage to stay above it. This makes Storm Surge one of the most important factors that the best teams plan for. There are many ways to get Storm Surge. Let's go over a few of them. Number 1, fighting off spawn. Even though fighting off spawn is generally bad, many teams can completely dominate their drop spell so hard that they aren't affected by the delays and damage done to them that they can get free search tags. Number 2, taking a mid-game fight. This is a strategy you'll see many high-level fighting teams do. These teams will find a team on the edge of zone and kill these very good players very quickly. This will get a team a lot of surge and will also give them extra loot. Number 3, playing for positioning. This is the most strategical way to play for surge. Many teams will position themselves on mountains and look for as many quick tags as possible. This is where quickly looting your POI comes in handy because many teams are vying for these great mountain positions, so being the fastest to these mountains is extremely important. A lot of mid-game is based around search, which we already talked about, so this will be a shorter segment. Many teams play edge zone so that they can hold teams to find their tags, but other teams will play the center of the zone if they have their search tags already. Playing center zone is one of the strongest positions in any zone because you are almost guaranteed to get the next zone. The last thing we'll talk about in the mid-game section is how zone positioning affects different teams. If first zone pulls max distance for a team, they are at a severe disadvantage compared to the team that got zone. Zones also have a tendency to keep pulling towards the direction, so if the first zone pulls to the northeast, it is very likely that the second zone will do the same. The endgame of Fortnite is one of the most entertaining things that you will ever watch or play. It is one of the most dynamic parts of Fortnite, and I would argue any game. There's so much going on, and it might be overwhelming at first. I hope that I can simplify down the endgames enough that most players could understand it. First, let's look at some of the key positions that team takes throughout the endgame. Height or high ground is one of the strongest positions in any endgame, and is the place where the majority of wins come from. Because of this, many teams will try and fight for height, and it is a very risky position to play, but if you're successful from height, you can really pop off from it and get wins with extremely high kills. Teams that play for height and are successful are going to do extremely well this FNCS. Midground is a very consistent playstyle that can work in most games. For teams that tarp on the midground, the name of the game is to find an uncongested layer. You want to find a layer in the moving zones with the least amount of teams on it. While playing midground, you also want to pay attention to the elevation changes on the map. One of the worst things that can happen to a team is that they get smothered under a bunch of builds because they weren't paying attention to the fact that the zone played up a mountain. Playing Lowground has many of the same issues that playing Midground has in terms of elevation awareness, but there are two larger differences about Lowground that can make it a really strong position if you play it right. The first is that you don't have to place anything on your floors because that is what the ground is for. The second thing is that your refresh opportunities are so strong from Lowground. If you play Lowground properly, you'll be able to find many weak players who are free kills because they drop to low when they are shambles. In competitive Fortnite, there are many unique roles that each player in the trio takes on. Let's go through each one. The IGL, or in-game leader, is one of the most important roles in a trio. The IGL will call where the trio should rotate, and will often be the tarper of the trio. Many times the IGL is the smartest player in the trio, and they are often the worst fighter in the trio. The Fragger is the person on the trio looking for all the kills. The Fragger is usually a great fighter, but usually isn't that smart. The Fragger will often drop the IGL mats and allow the IGL to tarp, while the Fragger is only looking for kills. The support is usually a mix between an IGL and a Fragger. They are usually a better fighter than the IGL, but they are also smarter than the Fragger. This player will move around and help both the Fragger and IGL throughout the endgame, and they are usually the most versatile player on the trio. A team's win condition is something that a lot of teams are constantly thinking about. Teams constantly are trying to figure out if they have what it takes to win the game from their position, or what they would have to do in order to have a win condition. Some examples of win conditions are having high ground or having floppers for heal off. If a team isn't in one of these positions, they'll often take riskier plays to try and win games. In Fortnite right now, there are a few items that are extremely strong that can win teams games off of plays that they can make with these items. Let's take a look at some of these items. Number 2, harpoons. Harpoons are one of the most strong weapons in the game because of its utility. There are many ways to use the harpoon. The first way is grabbing extra loot off of dead players. One good harpoon pull could completely save a game. The second way the harpoon is used is by getting into boxes. If a build piece is 150 HP or less, a lot of teams will use the harpoon to get into the box and find a refresh. The third, and one of the most interesting ways, is using it like a double pump. Many players are starting to take a pump shot and switching to the harpoon to get the maximum amount of damage in a short amount of time as possible. Number 3, peppers. Peppers are so strong because they give a player a 20% speed boost. This allows teams to steal height from a team because they can get up so high so quickly. This also allows teams to stick to the front side of the zone and allows teams to play safer. The last power item is the mechanical bow. This bow is so strong because of its ability to 212 headshot anyone. This allows teams to get massive amounts of damage for Storm Surge or knock a player on height and take it. Power rankings. Next I'm going to do a prediction of who I think will come top 3 in both NA East and EU. Let's start off with NA East. In first place I think it'll be Scented, Edgy, and Commandment. This is a team that has back-to-back top 3 placements in FNCS, and I think this season will be the FNCS that they win. This trio is one of the best Lowground trios, and if you want to learn more about them, you can check out the video that I made on this trio linked in the description. In second place, I think it'll be Chimp, Tabney, and Teo. Are a newer trio on the blog, but they are the real deal. They came out of nowhere last season, placing 9th in their first grand finals except for Chimp. This trio has nowhere to go but up, and their second place finish in Qualifier 1 really supports this. In third place, I'm going to have to go with Saf, Stretch, and Avery. Ever since Zate left this trio, they added Avery to this trio. They have been doing extremely well. Stretch is molding into a very good IGL, and with the addition of Avery, this trio looks a lot stronger and comfortable in the mid-ground layers than they ever did with Zate. Now let's head over to EU. In first place, I mean, is there even a question? It has to be the flopper king himself, Cray. I'm only joking. In actuality, I think the winner of FNCS on EU will be Flick, Anos, and Thomas HD. This is one of the most well-rounded trios in Europe, and here's only a slight exaggeration of how Thomas is with the bow. This trio placed 3rd in Season 4 FNCS, 2nd in the most recent FNCS, so they're bound to win in this season. In second place, I'm going to give it to Noah Riley, Vidil, and Rezon. This team is known for their hyper-aggressive playstyle. Noah and Vidil playing Valorant at the beginning of the season brought some worries to this trio, but they left in very good shape heading into Grand Finals. This trio could easily take it all, but I don't think they have a strong enough IGL to get them throughout their games. In third place, I'm going to have to give it to a sleeper pick in Nebs, Bubak, and Waze. This is a trio that does better the better the lobby is. Waze, in my opinion, is a top 3 tarper in the world, and he and his trio are extremely good fighters. They have also placed 2nd in Week 1 qualifiers and 3rd in Cash Grub Extra. This is definitely a sleeper team that could surprise many people in the finals. Now that you have learned a lot about this FNCS, you need great spots to watch it. Some of my favorites are Coach Harry and Coach Boop. They are both more EU focused and a lot more competitive focused. I've also been enjoying a lot of Aussie streams, and you can learn a ton by just watching these games. I highly recommend that you just look through Twitch for good viewing parties, and I guarantee you'll find one that you'll enjoy. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed the video, so make sure to leave a like, and if you want more educational content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment, and I'll try to respond to all of them. Peace.